Hello. So I am going to show you how to graph periodic trends, or rather data from the periodic table to see if there is a trend, a quasi-trend, or no trend at all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing that you would do is you will access to the day's assignment. That's under week 7, and there are 4 things here. All of these things should be organized and placed in your chemistry notebook. And the way that you would do that is you would click on this little folder here, and wherever it is right now, you want to go back to My Drive, and then once you found your way to My Drive, you scroll down until you find your virtual chemistry notebook, and you click the Move button. Now, let's get into the meat of today's lesson. So at this point, you have completed your notes, which are here, and you have completed part 1, question 1. So now you are looking at part 2, question 2, examining whether or not melting point is a trend, quasi-trend, or no trend at all. So how would we go about doing that? I'm going to show you the tools you need with this data set to analyze and determine that for yourself. So what we have here is every single element on the periodic table and a collection of all of the data that we know for each of these materials. You'll notice some spaces are blank. Those are data points that we have not been able to measure. So let's just start out by noticing that this is organized by the element name, by alphabetical order: actinium, aluminum, americium, and then into the B's and C's and so on and so forth. Now we can sort this by whatever column we want. So first, let's do sorting. And to practice this, we are going to sort everything by atomic number, because that is very useful, because as we know, the periodic table is ordered by atomic number. So in order to sort, you would click this little down arrow under the A column, atomic number, and you'll see a menu of options that pops up. If you don't see it, just scroll down. What we want to do is sort sheet by A to Z. Now it says A to Z, but it will also go in numerical order. So click on that, sort A to Z, and boom, everything is sorted by atomic number. Now go ahead and pause the video and do this for yourself, and when you've done it, click on the Edpuzzle and say, I did this. All right, now the next thing that we would like to do is analyze melting point to see if there is a periodic trend. Now, the periodic table has periods and it has groups. So in order for it to be a trend, it will have to follow a trend in both directions. So for our purposes, why don't we use group number 2 and period number 3. So this is period number 3. So let's start there. I want to know, as I go from left to right in period 3, is there a periodic trend for melting point? So I can graph that data to find out. So let's do that. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to filter. So in order to filter everything by period 3, I will need to use the filtering function. So to use the filtering function, first I will have to click on data, and we will have to go down to filter and filter views, and we want to create a new filter view. And when you do that, this sort of dark gray box it should show up, and you should get these this little tornado looking triangle drop down from each one of the categories. Okay, so go ahead and access your Google Sheet now and do that for yourself and come back when you're done. Okay, now that you have set up the filter view, we want to filter everything that is not in period 3. So what we will do is we'll click on that little triangle, and right now you'll notice under period, the period column, everything is checked. So we want to uncheck everything and then just select period 3. And then we'll scroll down and click OK. And as you can see, this gets rid of all the information except for period 3. Now, if we want to go back, just so you know, we can click select all and then OK, and we can go right back to what we had before. So do that for yourself. Go ahead and click on period under the triangle, clear, and period 3, and filter out everything that's for period 3. And when you are finished, click I did this. All right, now that we have everything sorted for period 3, we can go ahead and create our graph. So as we go across period 3, the atomic number increases. So we can use this data and we can plot it in a graph against our melting point data to see if there's a trend. So in order to do this, we are going to essentially copy and paste both columns into some empty space down below, and then we will create a graph. And then once we have that graph, we'll paste it into our document. So let's go ahead and start. We will start with atomic number and hit Control and copy to copy that entire column, and then we will paste it down here. Now we will do the same thing with melting point. We will highlight the entire column. We'll hit Control C to copy it, and then we will hit Control V to paste in the space below. So go ahead and take a few moments to do that. And once you have both of these in the columns right next to each other, click I did this. All right, now we are going to create a graph. Now this is very easy actually. What we are going to do is highlight both of these columns like so by clicking in the upper left and dragging our box until it's highlighting everything. And then we are going to go up to the upper right where there's this little chart about shape, and we are going to click that button. That's called the Insert Chart button. And it should give you a graph that looks just like this. It has created all of the data for you, and it has even given you a y-axis label and an x-axis label and a title. The only thing that will not show up on the title is the fact that these are in period 3. So what we want to do is plot melting point versus atomic number, and then click on the title and click across period 3. And this is your chart. Now, in order to insert this chart into your assignment, make sure that you have this sort of blue outline with the little square boxes by clicking on the chart, and then do a 2-finger click. Well, actually, you don't even need to do the 2-finger click. Scratch that. Just hit Control, copy, and then paste. And paste being Control V. Doesn't seem to be working, so let's just try that one more time. Control copy and then Control V. Let's just hit paste. Okay. If you don't want to use Control V, you can use the 2-fingered click and then just hit paste. All right. All right. So go ahead and pause and make sure that you have your own graph created and linked in. And when you're done, click on the button that says I did this. All right, now we are going to do the same thing, but we need to know about the trends going down. So let's take a look at that. So in order to get rid of all of this, there's a couple of options. You can either simply click the undo button a bunch of times until you get back to where you started, or you can delete this table and you can highlight all of this information, delete it. You can come back and undo the filter that you just did by clicking select all and then scrolling down and clicking OK. And all of your data will show back up. So we just did melting point data across 3, looking for trends and trying to find out whether there's a trend or not. Now we're going to look down group 2 to see if there is a trend. So now that we're going down, that's going to be a little bit different. We want to filter by group 2. So instead of filtering by period, this time we're going to click on the little triangle next to group 2, and we're going to, again, clear everything and select group 2. And scroll all the way down and click OK. And you end up with something that looks like this. So now that you have accomplished that, let's go ahead and graph these, this data. So now that we are analyzing period, we want to have period in our left column. So we're going to copy the period numbers, which increase as you go down, and then the melting point data. Copy and paste. It is just a side note. It is important that you keep the title in there, because when you copy and paste the title as well as the data, it automatically creates a title for you for your graph. Now we are going to simply take both of these data points and we are going to graph them by clicking the insert chart button. If you want to use the other method, you can click up here and click insert, and then there's a chart here as well. But I don't believe that automatically, I don't think that gives you as good of a quality of chart as if you just click this button. So I'm going to click this button. And again, we have our graph, and this is down group 2. So I'm going to put down group 2. And we will copy this chart and we will place it here. Something did not go right there, so let's try that again. I think, oh, I selected something else that I shouldn't have. So now let's hit copy and link to spreadsheet. And there, our data shows up. Now, the question is, do we have a trend, a quasi-trend, or no trend? Now, go back to your notes, decide what constitutes a trend, a quasi-trend, or no trend at all, and then go ahead and write your response in the answer below. Now, if you get stuck or you forget how to do any of these tasks, there is a reference sheet here. It's a PowerPoint, and if you click on it, it will take you through the basic steps of manipulating data. So it shows how to scroll, how to sort A to Z. It shows you how to filter by values, and there's more information about filtering. And then how to make a chart is here. There's a bunch of chart editing information, and if you use the steps that I just showed you, you won't actually have to use these pages 10 or 11 or even 9. All right. If you have completed this, pat yourself on the back. Good job, and you can return to class. Bye-bye.